Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, good evening. I think everybody, yes, yeah, everybody's in the same time zone. Yeah, good evening all. So I've been, like everybody over here, I think we all know each other, but I'll introduce myself. So I'm Rashmy Patwari, and I've been with Avanad for a while now. I'm an enterprise architect, 5 times Sitecore MVP. And so, as with everybody else in this group, I hope we are all like tinkering around with agentic stuff, AI, trying to learn the ropes of this new world around us. And in the process, I've been tinkering around with MCP server, just to see where we can utilize this in the Sitecore realm of things, and how we can make use of this to establish connectivity to the different uh, platforms that we've got, make them agentic if they're not already. So this particular presentation is, I would like to share some of my experiences in the process, and this is, although this was, I mean, I've presented this more like a 40-minute session, but I've got like 20 today, so I'll try to. I'm not going to cram it, but I've picked the relevant stuff to make this short enough, and but the demo is something that I would really like to put it out here, and talk through things. So I don't want to. I mean, I can use the format of this presentation, just to keep the content crisp and fit it in 20 minutes. But yeah, feel free to stop me. And if you want to speak about something in particular, we can go over that as well. All right. Okay. So what is MCP, right? Like, so MCP, so as a textbook definition, it is basically a protocol created by open source, and it is available for us, a more like a standard way of establishing, of enabling systems. In this case, I'll take Content Hub as an example. So we've got Content Hub, which exposes a REST API. Say we want to make that agentic, we want to make that available for conversational chats to be utilized in any setup. Like take you want to interface it with Claude or GitHub Copilot or any other chat interface. It could be a custom chat interface as well. So for that, we would this is one way of doing it, wherein we can have, so basically, I'd like to kind of compare, because we're all very familiar with, REST API, and, how different it is from REST API. So, I would say like REST API is more for developers, and MCP is more for agents. So in order to enable any system to be discoverable by agents and to be used in as a conversational tool, we can do that. This is one way of doing it. Again, it's not another API, and then basically it composes of three primitives, three things. We've got the tools, so the AI decides, based on its intelligence and the language model that we're using, which tool to invoke in the ones. So we expose a bunch of tools from an MCP server. It typically consumes, it interfaces with some resources in the backend. In this example for today, we will be using Content Hub as the resource, and we can build instructional templates or prompts to basically use those tools as part of the integration. So again, okay, moving on. So when do we use each of these things? Like first of all, what is the difference between an MCP and API? I just spoke about that. APIs, again, they are built they're typically built for developers. You need to have technical expertise to use an API. MCPs, when set up and configured, and when they are available as in any agentic interface, you don't need a developer expertise to utilize them. So conversational chat we can use. So it's a way mechanism of enabling that. Then again, integration again. So agents discover it once it is all set up right, and we don't have to do extra as long as you're following the three primitives. Like you've got the tools, you've got the resources, and you've got the conversational prompt setup. Then agents can discover them. Again, it is conversational, the calling style, and it's basically stateless. So the MCP server itself is a stateless entity, but the overarching agent that interfaces with it can have associate some memory with it, can associate the context. So the prompt gives it some context as to what exactly it's intended to be, how exactly it is intended to be used as. So those are some subtle differences between the two. I in the previous presentations, I think it was in the first couple of presentations when I did this. Typically, this was a question, how different is it from a REST API, and can I not use a REST API to be invoked directly from agents? Well, I don't think so, but there might be other ways of doing it. But I found that building an MCP server to interface to any resource that is exposing a REST API is the most is a nicer, cleaner way for us as the implementation partners or implementation as architects. So on the right, we see like when do we not use MCP? So basically, there are scenarios wherein MCP is not a solution. So where we need to do semantic search, it doesn't because it doesn't have embeddings in it. Again, since it's a stateless entity, we cannot have it doesn't have memory, so we cannot do like orchestration kind of. So between agent to agent, I mean, there are situations where you would use like agent to agent communication for that. So MCP. So again, like this is not a mechanism. MCP server on its own cannot enable that. It's I mean, if it was, it's like just a one-to-one API kind of a use case. Again, this would be an unnecessary overhead. Typically, if you have we're thinking of more agentic solutions where there are multiple agents in play, then this becomes a more useful solution. Although for this example over here, what we are going to see today, we are just it is a one-to-one thing. Like Content Hub is the only entity that is being used in the agent, and we are using MCP server to do that. So again, where there is heavy play of business logic, that it's typically not a good place to implement all of that. So we got to keep it pretty linear, or I should say like pretty thin, so that there's no point in exposing like maybe like 50 tools out of one MCP server. Then it becomes too messy. Then the whole purpose of agentic discovery is kind of it doesn't kind of serve the purpose over there. So we got to have a crisp set of tools, what it can do, and build it along the lines. Is this going good so far? I mean, do we want to kind of talk through anything specific? All right, thank you. Okay. Again, so for this particular demo, what I've got is a content bridge. I'm calling it like, my term for bridging, so that the product, I'm calling it as ContentBridgeAI. I hope there's no such product available right now in the Sitecore realm at least. And so basically, the objective was, so we've got our content hub as a DAM system, and I've come across some specific marketing use cases wherein marketing folks would like to see what assets are out there, especially when it comes to documentation assets. If there is a PDF file, do I have it in my DAM? Or so the other way of doing it is using a search feature on Content Hub, but that means that the marketeer needs access to Content Hub, and they should know how to do it. And it can get pretty confusing at times to go utilize the typical search mechanism available on Content Hub to search through assets and documents. So the use case is just that we would want a conversational way of doing it. So the solution would be to define an MCP server integrated with an agent and use that conversational chat to fetch or query for and find anything that you would do with Content Hub for searching through your assets. So that's the architecture is again pretty simple. MCP server sits in the middle of your resource, in this case Content Hub, and the client, in this case any of the conversational chat interfaces. So I'll demonstrate this on Microsoft Foundry. I just got a chat agent created on that, which interfaces with MCP server. So that's the architecture for the demo. So what are we going to do? So expose it. So these are all the tools. So we spoke about the three primitives, right? Like tools, resources, and what did I say? Right, yeah, tools and resources. So in here, so these are the 7 tools that are exposed to AI clients through this MCP server. So basic search, getting an asset by a particular ID, metadata of the asset, executing custom query, although that's not working very well at this point. There are then enhanced search. I would like to build the ones on the right. Enhanced search, listing collections, it does that, and querying products, just for product-based catalog search. So those are the tools. Okay, so let's take a look. Stop this here for now and see, how that works. Like I said, so here's the AI Microsoft Foundry app I've created. So that's my MCP server right now. If I'll just show you. So the specification. So this is again, different apps we have. There are a couple of nuances in how we integrate or create these agents and consume the MCP server itself. So for this particular example, I'm using the OpenAPI specification. So this is so I'm hosting my MCP server itself in as an Azure server service, app service, and that's the URL for that. Then can you all see this? Okay, maybe I'll just kind of. Yeah, so this is the whole specification. The way it looks in my code is something like this. Maybe this is a better visual. So yeah, so that's my MCP server, which is hosted as an app service. So I've listed out all the. So this is more like all the details that the agent needs to know to utilize this MCP server. So here are all my tools and just basic information as to if there are any limits or parameters for each of these tools and what the tool does and how it needs to be utilized. So all these details are mentioned in this specification. So I feed that to set it up on the as a tool for this particular agent. I haven't set any memory. I'm using the Claude Sonnet model at this time. I believe I don't have voice mode. Okay, let me refresh this one so that doesn't time out or anything. Okay. So right now, I can just ask it anyway. So just to know, because I have that as instruction. So it's going to list out all the tools which I showed you just now as that are available by the MCP server. So I can do search and discovery, asset management, etc., etc. So let me just find, okay, I'm just asking it, find me the latest assets just to know what are the most recently added. Oh, well, okay. That didn't go very well. So I'm asking it, assets of a fruitful brand because I know that there is a fruitful brand available in my content hub. So this is happening because so basically my auth key ID is reset, like it has a timeout, and so that's what has happened. So my connection to the content hub has is expired at this point. Okay, right. So it fetched, all the assets of the fruitful brand in my content hub with their asset IDs, and added some more specification around that, like metadata and stuff like that. So I can say, like find me more details of. I'll just say the first one. Let's see how that goes. So although there's no, in this particular session, it does kind of retain the context. Although there's no memory, if I come back to this, refresh and come back, it will have no recollection of what this session was about. Okay, it's taking a little longer. Hopefully it will come back. So it got me all the details of the first, I just said first one and, the first one in that list. So that's the metadata of the asset. So it knows, it can figure basically on the specification that I have given that, the tools that are available and which one to use. So that's again, the MCP server is exposing all that intel to the chat interface. So that's pretty much, let's see if it can get me the. This is pretty vague. I'm asking it to find me products with lemons on them, because I do know that there is a catalog, and my purpose is to do some kind of a visual search for images. So we'll speak about why it takes so long, and in the so this is not production ready, which you can see very well. It takes really long time to fetch results, and it is basically as latent as a Content Hub API is at this point. But there are ways to make it better. As when you so we'll speak about how to make it production ready when we can go back to the deck. So you can see that there are some these are the assets. Which have pictures of lemons on them. So I can. Yep, that's basically, as far as the demo goes. Anything specific you want to see in this with this agent? Yeah, Dan.
Yeah, a couple of things. This is super cool. Thank you. I guess first question is, can you just show a little bit of code from that? I guess it would be in that JSON file where we're getting from, your question. Like we go back to the top of the session. You had like find me assets. Where does that get translated into an API call?
Okay.
And right. Where does that knowledge live? Just so I'm want to understand how the pieces connect together.
Sure. So let's look at the traces. So we can find some right here. Here, I guess monitor.
Because somewhere the knowledge of Content Hub's API has to live.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just trying to understand I haven't built one of these. I don't really know how they work. How do you, how does a natural language
Yeah,
to API mapping, how is that all set up?
right. So let's look at the message itself. So that's what I got back. So let's start with the whole conversation, this one, and then that's the output again. Okay, let's see here. So that's a failed one. So I think that's a better place to see what happened in the backend.
Mhm.
So we can see that, where is that? Okay. So it's calling the MCP server at this point, and it says, call the Content Hub tool, and it says, yeah, not too much over here to understand. Let's see, and something else. Okay, over here.
Or maybe I'm
Okay.
misunderstanding. Are you
Mhm.
using Sitecore's MCP tool, or is this your own MCP tool?
This
Like,
is my own. This is my own MCP
okay,
tool,
got it.
and
Okay.
we can let's look in the code itself. That'll be a better place. So that's my MCP server code. And if we look in the services, I have got this. So that's the one. So if I look in, the say for I was looking for that asset
Mhm.
metadata code, right? So let me start with the environment itself. So as an environment, I said, see, this is the base hub URL, which is my content hub URL or username. So I'm just using basic authentication to authenticate. That's why it's a very long, it's a very
Mhm.
latent process at the moment, because for every query, it's actually hitting the content hub, and then getting back with the results, packing them back in an agentic way. So it's doing all of that for every conversation uh, prompt that we give in the agent. So it's not pretty efficient at the moment. There's no caching built into it. That's one. And also there is no, so basically again, it's not, yeah, so caching is one important thing that we need to do it when we make it production ready. So that's the thing. And what have we got? So the tools, yeah. So here are the tools which we have. So like the search content tool. So this is the basic setup
Got it.
of the tool itself. And it is going to search like my content hub search content. I can,
Got it. This is the
so I
piece
have
I
a
was missing.
service. Yeah. So this is, we need to like literally like hand code all of this and translate it into, so I've got my service over here.
So you wrap the APIs in JSON methods, and then
Yeah.
you declare those JSON methods to the markdown layer, and
Mhm.
that it's able to kind of then the models can kind of do that mediation. That
Yeah, so we need to pack it back into the tool format, and then so the tool works as a request response package. So we'll have to do the packaging back into an MCP. So that's the whole crux of the MCP server to pack. So you decide what to expose as tools, and then you decide the parameters for each of those tools. And when the response comes back, we give back the response. But again, the response is plain. The response that's coming back from Content Hub, and
Mhm.
the agent is doing the extra layering over, making it more appealing and conversational at that point.
That makes a lot of
That's
sense. I have one more
that's
question, but I don't want to know if anyone else has any. I guess last question is Foundry. Is that like the standard place you would go to build these? Or,
No, that's just one place. We could interface. I could drop this in any conversational, chat. So at that, when I started this, I had access to Foundry from Avanade, so I use that, and then and now I have like Cloud
yep.
Code. I can put it in there as well. So anywhere where we can drop in MCP servers, we in any interface we
I,
can, any
but
client
if you,
can use, we can use it.
okay. I don't want to keep asking questions because we have
No,
another
go on.
no,
That's
one more.
fine.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you're building this, you've got the JSON, you got the JavaScript, you've got that has your services, you've got your wrapping declarations, and where does this need to live to run so that, let's say, I could call it from Claude Code or Copilot? Like what actually executes, takes a request and executes to JSON? Does that live in Foundry? Does that live in like where do the MCP
A server
servers
itself.
run?
Right. This MCP server is running as an app service in Azure,
Okay.
and Foundry is the client for it. I mean, I've not yet.
Uh
Yeah. So
it's
that's it.
app
Yeah.
service. Okay.
It's an
Foundry's
app
not
service.
Yeah, Foundry's not where this runs. Foundry is just a tool you're using to
Correct. Yeah.
to got it. Okay. That's the part I was
To
confused
make the
about.
agent, make that agent. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, seeing something
So
work is thank you. That was very, very cool.
thank you. So, what else have I got? I think I would have taken a lot of time, but yeah, let's go back to the presentation here. Right. So for production, just one last point. So for production readiness, so these are the not so obvious bits. So first thing is security, right? Like I've got to host it, yeah, in a secured environment. In this case, like making it an app service, making it accessible only via like stringent security measures. So at the basic level, it needs to have authorization and secured access. So that's the first thing. Then there's reliability mechanisms to be built. So I mean, treat it as any service that you would build for production readiness. So it needs to have all those features built in. Nothing. I mean, the agentic or the agentic client won't do anything about it. So it would.
Mhm.
We will still have to treat it with all the OWASP security measures, and we would still have to build it with hand build it with all that security built into it. And again, reliability, same thing. At least whatever it takes to put in those basic reliability measures, we have to build in those. And the other thing, I haven't mentioned it here, yeah, but caching is the most important thing. So as you can see, that it's as latent as the REST API that it's consuming, and if there are like more APIs that it's consuming, then then that brings in some latency into the whole round robin request response process. So we have to build in some caching mechanism to make it more kind of efficient. So that's those are some of the things. And yeah, the other thing I learned hard was in a very difficult way was basically uh, every one of them. Like we've seen that Open API spec, and then so Copilot, the Copilot, GitHub Copilot needed a different way of showing, consuming or configuring that MCP server, and then Claude has a different way. So those are the subtle differences. So I
Mhm.
can say very easily that okay, I can easily drop it in any
Mhm.
agentic interface. But having said that, it does need those specific configuration mechanisms, what the agentic interface expects to be done. But yeah, I mean, not too difficult, but yeah, that's something we need to take care of. Again, you saw my token expired, right? Like for Content Hub. So that's the thing. So token refreshing, yeah, is another thing. And you want to have long sessions, agentic sessions running, then you got to do that intermittently so that the token doesn't expire in the middle of a session.
Cool. Well, thank
That's
you very
that's
that was it.
yeah, that was it.
All right.
Short one today.
Well, thank you